Greetings and welcome to ES Institute. Today we have with us Dr. Ambassador Mehreen Mia ma'am, with all the way from South Africa, our own amazing, incredible, intellectual, insightful global educator. And so we all are so connected. And today is just not again one of the easy day, but yeah, we are going to learn how to compete, cross, and fight with all the interviews in a very easy manner. Because when it comes to Marine ma'am, so polite, absolutely sophisticated, and I think it's a very rare which we find that truly rare, I could say, that we find somebody who can teach with all of affection, politeness, and the sophistication to our students. So thank you so much, Marine ma'am. I love, you all global educators have a different way of teaching, and this is absolutely, like I could say, making my student captivating day by day, and they are being brilliant, and even it's so inspiring for me also. So thank you so much, Marine ma'am, for being here. Next, all 30 minutes are all yours. Over to you, my dear Swati ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Madhvi. Lovely to be here. And of course, to see some of your familiar faces. I greet you all in that universal greeting of peace with blessings. Yeah, today we're talking about the interview again, so let's get moving. I think what we did discuss the last time was the good things about the interview, right? We spoke about how when you're going, what other things that you need to look for, how you need to be, what your composure is, and what you need to answer when you're asked for questions. You remember this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. You all remember that. Today, I'm not going to focus on the positives. Today, I'm going to focus on the things that you shouldn't be saying, the things you must not speak too much about, okay? Because as much as when you go for the interview, you need to know and you need to prepare, you need to find out about the company, you need to be able to speak to them, you need to pull yourself into the position. You also, at the same time, can't give too much of yourself at the position, okay? Because in an interview, as much as it is the panel or the person that you are talking to that's questioning you, at some point you have to be so, how can I say, empowered about yourself that there's some things about you they must still need to know. You can't give off too much of you too quickly. And also, there are some things about you that are completely personal. That are things that you don't have to divulge too quickly. Okay. So I'm going to talk today about a few things that you don't have to reveal or speak too much about in the job interview itself. Okay. I think there's about, 7 or 8 things. So we'll try and go through them in the time that we have. Okay. So I think the first thing is, if you look at the CV that you are giving to them, your CV is going to be point to the point, okay? You give them your details about your name, your surname, your whatever you have to. So your CV is precise. It also gives you information about where you worked, etc. But your CV doesn't have to give the absolute personal details of your life. So where it says, you don't have to mention whether you are single or married or divorced, for example. You don't have to mention that because you can't be judged on that. Okay, so no position, no job is going to judge you based on these factors. So why must you divulge such a personal detail of your life? You don't have to. Then the other thing is, if there's anything about your family drama or there's something that's happening with you in your personal struggle, things like that, you don't need to speak about that in your interview because you don't want the people you are speaking to think that you have this, you don't have the emotional intelligence to know when to speak and when not to speak, because we all do. So they might ask you certain questions like, what about your background and where you are now in your life? You don't have to say, I just went through a very bad divorce. I'm just going through a very difficult time. Please don't say that. As much as you may feel that, you need to show to them that you got your life in control. So you need to just answer that with a simple question. I'm perfectly well. Actually, that is why I'm here and I applied for the job. Because it is. If you were not fine, you wouldn't be asking for the job, right? So every struggle that is there doesn't have to be given to anybody. So you don't have to answer emotionally. Don't answer any of the questions in your interview with any emotion. You're going to answer just the fact. And your personal details of your life, you don't give off. So that's number one. The second thing is, you must not do this, okay? Even though on your CV you speak about the previous people that you worked for. if you are in a company now that you are not happy with, that is why you're looking for a job, or somebody that you worked for before and you had a very bad experience with them. These things happen, okay? These are your realities. But in your interview, you do not speak badly about the person you worked for. You don't speak badly about the person that you work for. Why? Because these people that you are interviewing, that you're having your interview with, these people are people that want to learn. These are people who actually work for them. Now, if you're going to speak bad about somebody you worked with before, then how will they feel about you? They're going to think you're going to speak bad about them also. So you cannot speak negatively about your job experiences before this. Big red flag when that happens, because then they're going to think the company is not the problem, you are the problem. Do not speak badly about any company you worked for. Even though you might have had a bad experience with them, keep that to yourself. That's for you. You don't have to share that with anybody, okay? Third thing is, you don't want to say that this job that you are going to is just a stepping stone. You want them to know that this job is actually what you need, it's what you want. Even though you may know that it is your stepping stone to get to something further. They must not know that you're looking at the job temporarily, because they're not looking for somebody temporary. They're looking for somebody to give this job to. So if you're going to say, I need this job just because it is going to help me to get to my vision, then they're going to ask, what is your vision? Then you're going to say, actually, I want to own my own company one day. Then they're going to think, why do we have to employ you then? Because we need somebody to be in this job for a certain number of years. So you can't tell them what your end result is. You have to be firm in the fact that this job is what I want, this job is what I need and what I know I'm good for, therefore I'm applying for it. You in the back of your mind know you're working hard at this job because you want to do something for yourself later. But you do not divulge that it's just a stepping stone. It's one of those small things. Because then why will they invest in you, right? So that's your top 3. The fourth one is, if they ask you something like, do you think you're qualified enough about this job? Please do not answer with a doubt about you and your experience. Don't answer as if you doubt yourself. Don't answer and say something like, I'm not sure whether I'm really qualified, but I know I fit the description. Don't say that. Your answer must always be affirmative to say, yes, I am. Yes, I am. You do not cause doubt on you in anything that they ask you. So if they ask you, again, I'll give you that example. If they ask you, do you think you're qualified enough for the job? Yes. It must be a quick yes, because you must have confidence in yourself. Because if you're going to say, I'm not sure about whether I'm qualified, then it plants the seed of doubt in them. And if that means you doubt yourself, then surely they must doubt you. Why would they want to employ you, right? So you need to kind of counter question that, and you need to answer, yes, I am fully qualified for the job because I have the organizational skill that's required. I am able to work as a team. So you highlight in your answer the things that you can do to benefit the organization. All right, that's number 4. The number 5 is something that, I found when I was interviewing people. And I found that it's something that I didn't like when people brought up in an interview. And I also experienced it when I was interviewed. That's why I put it on my list of things to not talk about in an interview. Because these are 2 things that should not have any contribution to whether you get the job or not. And these 2 things for me are your own personal things, and they shouldn't be part of a job interview. First is politics. Your first one is politics, and your second one is religion. 2 things I believe, my own belief, is that crucial only to you. Your political mind, what you think about politics, and your own personal thing about your faith, your religion. That has nothing to do with the job interview. You wouldn't be applying for a job if you didn't think you could do it. So why should those 2 things be questioned anyway? They shouldn't. You shouldn't have to speak about what your mind is, what you say, what you think about the political situation. You shouldn't have to speak about who you vote for or what not, because these are things you're not supposed to talk about. asking for a position that is in a government role, even then, who you vote for and what your political stance does not matter. It's whether you can actually qualify for the role that you're going to play and the duties of that job, not your political mind and not your religion. Those are things nobody should ask you about. That's unnecessary tension. That's unnecessary discussion. And it's also, for me, what I feel, a very unnecessary risk to take. I don't see why anyone needs to divulge that, and I don't see why you should be asked about it. You need to keep the conversation of your interview purely about skills and value to the organization. And if you think that the people that are interviewing you actually move away and they start to go into something a bit too personal, you know you have the right to be able to say to them, actually, can we stick to the interview question, please? Because there are some things they don't have to ask in an interview. So you also have certain rights when you're in that space, okay? So that's the two things that we're not going to allow anyone to ask us about because it's our personal things and we don't have to divulge that in any setting. The other one is if I'm interviewing you for a job, and let's say part of the things that you like to do is you have a passion to maybe bake stuff and sell it, but that you do from your house in your pastime. That is something you're not going to mention in your interview. You cannot mention in your interview that you have a slight business on the side. You cannot mention in your interview that you have, or you're planning to even start another business. You can't do that. Because then you are not actually going to be benefit to the company. It's actually going to be a loss. They cannot know this about you. And it's not that you are lying. It's just that this is not something that's necessary to disclose right now, unless your contract with the organization asks you. Because sometimes the contracts will say, if you are earning the salary from the organization, you cannot take in an income from anywhere else. Then you're going to have to disclose that you have another business. But if you don't have, if that's not part of the organization or not part of the contract, then that's not something that you have to divulge. Because, you know, if you're already planning that I want to work here only for 6 months because in the balance of the 6 months of the year, I want to have my own business. If you're going to tell them that now, are they going to employ you? No. No, they're not going to. So you know yourself best. If I have to employ you, I must see that you have commitment to my organization. You're going to be loyal to my organization. But this is when I will also say to you that before you apply for a job, you need to be understanding that from an employer perspective, the person who's employing you, that person also needs your complete loyalty, your complete honesty. So if you know that you have the sideline business, and if you know that in 6 months' time you don't want to work for somebody because you're going to be wanting to work on your own, is it fair to actually apply for a job there? You see? So it's all about you to also understand, do I want to do that? Because it's not fair on the employer to have to pay you for you to actually be doing something to build yourself when somebody else could be taking that job who may need it. So you need to also assess the kind of job that you are doing, whether your sideline business is going to take you further or whether it's not. But that's for you to decide, right? Now, the other thing I noticed is the question mark on salary. Very often they may ask you, what kind of salary are you looking for? Right? If it's not something that is already stipulated in the advert that you are, that you applied to because you saw this advert and that's why you sent the application. If it's not there, then you don't have to give them the figure because you don't know what they're asking. You don't give them a figure. You ask them again, what is it that you are offering? So you counter question them. You ask them, what is it that you are offering me? Then they ask you, well, what did you earn before? That's what you don't give them. You don't give them. And here's your reason why. The reason you don't divulge or say what you were earning before is because the reason you are applying for a new job is simply because that never worked for you. The reason that you're applying for this new job is because you have more qualifications or you have more standards and it's not being met by the previous organization. So what you earned before has got nothing to do with what you're applying for now. What you're applying for now is a new application, new job, new company. So they need to give you an offer and then you will negotiate it. You do not have to give them the details of your old salary, because that almost like weakens your negotiation power. Because if you say, I earned 15,000 rupees and they were supposed to offer you 25,000, they're going to know that even if they offer you 16, you're going to be happy. Okay? You don't. You know you are worth more, so you don't go back to give them any figure at all. You let them give you the figure and then you negotiate with that. As soon as you go into the old salary amount, then you weaken your power to negotiate what you're worth and what they need to pay you. And that's what you don't want. So you got to like almost redirect that question to another unexpected salary, or otherwise inflate it. Tell them, you know what, I think I'm worth 50,000 rupees. And then you know they can only pay you 20. I'm worth 50,000, but I'll negotiate with you, and let them start negotiating with you. But you don't divulge the old one, because that becomes their bargaining tool, and you're not there to bargain. You're there to negotiate for what's best for you, right? There's just one other thing, and I don't know how the law is in India, but here in South Africa, people's medical history is something very private. People's medical history is something that is treated as very confidential. Unless the job is, for example, something that needs manual labor, and you have something in your body, or you have an ailment or a medical illness that's going to stop you from doing manual labor, then you need to disclose it to us so we can know. But unless that happens, we don't need to know too much of medical stuff about you. Because in the application forms that we give to people in our country, we ask certain questions already, but we don't ask the detail. We don't ask for detail because one of the things we did away with in our constitution was we do not discriminate because of a medical condition. If you have asthma, for example, you have a chest condition, you have asthma, right? You're not going to apply for a job where you're going to spray paint because you know it's going to affect your chest. But you can apply for a job where you can sit as a secretary or you can do admin work in an office because that's okay. So why do you need to disclose that you have asthma? You don't. The only reason you might need to put that in there and let them know you have asthma is in the event of an emergency, they need to know this about you and that you have a pump or that you have medication that you take, but it doesn't affect your job. You having asthma doesn't affect your job because it's controlled. If you're somebody who has diabetes, you have a sugar issue or what you take, your intake of sugar, it doesn't matter that you because you have diabetes, I can't employ you. You have it in control. So you take your medicine morning and evening, you know what you eat and what you don't eat. You should still be able to do your work. So certain medical conditions don't have to be made public. However, there are some that might need to be divulged. Like I said to you before, if you know the job is going to entail certain things that your medical condition is going to be a problem with, then my question to you is you don't have to divulge it. You shouldn't be applying for that job. Okay, if you know the job is going to be too strenuous, too stressful, and you know your levels of stress are too high, you can't manage stress yet, then don't apply for something that's going to make it worse. Apply for something that you know is good for you. So you also need to understand yourself before you make these applications. Does it make sense to everybody? Okay. So I gave you 8 points. I gave you 8 points of what to not reveal, what to not talk about, okay? Shall I go through the 8, so you make 8 points? Shall I just tell you what they are? The first one I spoke about was too many personal details. So you can write it down. The first one is too many personal details. You don't have to give that. Like you don't have to give the drama or the things that happen at home, what happened to you when you got divorced, or if you're just getting married, if you just had a baby, you don't have to have all that. You don't have to explain these things. Too many personal details, not necessary. The second thing I spoke about is we're not going to talk badly about our past employers. So no negative comment about past people. Don't speak negatively about them. Okay? Because we don't want them to think we're going to talk bad about them. So don't speak negatively about your previous employer. Third one is don't ever say that this job is just your stepping stone. This job is your job. It's not a stepping stone to anything. It is what you want to do, and you will find your way through it. This job is a solid job. Otherwise they're going to say, why you're not going to stick around, you're going to look for something else quickly. So it's not a stepping stone job, it is a job that you want, right? The fourth thing I spoke to you about was don't ever say, if they ask you something about, do you think you're qualified for the job? You don't say, I'm not sure. You don't say, I'm not sure whether I'm qualified enough. You always put yourself in the positive and you say, I am qualified for the job and I know that I meet the criteria because, for example, I have organizational skills, I have teamwork, I can work with a team, stuff like that. But you don't ever speak about the doubts of yourself. Don't doubt you in your interview because you don't want them to doubt you, right? Then I spoke about how the two things for me, and this is my own personal thing, two things I believe should not be discussed is your religion and what your political view is. Those two things shouldn't be anybody's concern, right? So your religion is yours and everybody should be respected for that. Your political view is also yours and everybody has to be respected for that. Those are two things you can't be judged on at an interview. The other thing I spoke about is if you have a side business or if you're starting your own business and stuff like that, don't think about firstly whether you want to apply for a job if you want to start off something on your own. And then the other thing is don't mention that you have the startup of your own business because then they're going to feel like you're going to run away or you're going to exit the company quick enough and they're going to think they don't feel like investing in you. I spoke about your salary. I said that the next point was, I said that your salary is something that is yours, but you do not mention what you got paid before because you need to have some negotiation power with these people. And if you're going to give them a figure of what you earned before, then they're going to bring that figure that they want to give you right down to whatever that was or match it. You don't want that. You want to negotiate your power of what you are worth in the new job. So don't go backward and tell them what your previous salary was. And the last thing I spoke about was your medical issue. If there is a medical issue that you think is necessary and it's going to impact your job, then you ask yourself, do you want to apply for the job? Because if you know you have an ailment and it's going to worry your job, then why do you want to apply for this job when you know your medical self is going to be hurt by it? So you think about that, but you also need to think that if you are going into this job and you're applying, your health is also very important. You have to emphasize what you can do. Also emphasize what your limitations are if you have any. Okay? If you have any, like for example, if you're going to be working in an admin position, I'll give you an example of somebody I know. She took a job as a secretary. She was very good at what she was doing. She was a personal assistant to the director of a company, and she had the job and she was starting in like 2 weeks' time. So she never got into the office until it was day one of her job. But on day one of her job, when she got in there, the office that she had was fully carpeted. It was full of carpet. So she had no tile. It was fully carpeted and it was enclosed. So the only thing that she had was an air vent. And her problem, and it's not a medical disorder, but her problem is she's claustrophobic. So she can't be in closed spaces. And fully carpeted closed space makes you feel even worse. When you feel claustrophobic, you feel like you're too tight. Everything's closing in all the time. So she had to just let them know that this is a limitation for her. It doesn't mean she can't do her job. All she needs is maybe a fan or an air conditioner in her office so you can feel a breeze now and again. Or can she keep a door open or move her office to somewhere where there is a window? So they helped her and they moved her, but that was because she was vocal enough to speak about it. So small things that can limit your ability to do your job, I'm sure you can mention. But it doesn't have to be where it becomes detrimental that it's going to stop you from working. Okay? So all of these things I told you are important, but if you look at them all, look at all the things I spoke about today, look at all the things I spoke about before. All of these things ultimately come down to you understanding yourself best. You have to know you, to know whether to apply for a job, what your salary is, whether your medical conditions are there or not. You know you best. So you know when you're applying for something, what to say, what not to say. Okay? Everybody understanding? So if you have any questions now you can ask. I'm hoping you understand me a little bit today.
Really, ma'am, it's a great lesson in lot of series and lot of YouTube series. I have seen that what things should be mentioned in interview, but this is the first time I know what should not be mentioned in the interview. It's the first time
Yes.
I learned from ma'am.
Thank you.
great insight. We learned a lot.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much, ma'am.
Lovely, lovely. Is there any question though?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Greetings to meet you, ma'am.
Greetings to you.
My question is that firstly, when we are applying for job, firstly they ask about us current CTC. Firstly, they already asked about what is your current CTC, then expected CTC. They ask us. So according to ma'am, they already know na ki what is our current CTC. So how can we hide them? ये तो like they
Well,
already
it
know
depends.
about.
It depends. Remember, if you are working for me in my company and I have an internal job that you are going to apply for, obviously I know what I'm paying, right? But if you are
Yeah.
not working for me, let's just say you're working for Dr. Madhvi, and then you apply in my company to come to work for me. I don't know what she's paying you. Okay? I don't know what she's paying you, but I want you to work for me. But I'm going to, let's say she is paying you 15,000 rupees. And then you come to me, and I know in my mind that my job that I'm going to give to this person, I'm going to pay them 25,000 because it is that kind of work to be done. But if you sit with me and you tell me you got 15,000 from her, I know that even if I give you 16, you'll leave her because it's 1,000 more than hers. Yet at the back of my mind, I budgeted for my business to pay you 20 or 25. So why do you want to disclose that, right? But if I do know what you are earning, and if I tell you, I hear that you at Dr. Madhvi's business and you are earning 15,000 rupees. What is your expected salary with me? Your answer does not have to hide what they say. Your answer is going to be very simple and truthful. Your answer is going to be, yes, I am. But the reason I applied for this job is because I know my qualifications allow me to earn extra. And I do know your company can pay me what I'm deserving to get paid. That kind of talk is not rude. That kind of talk shows that you have self-power, that you are empowered, and you're standing up for what you are worth. So you're able to say that. Then they will ask you, well, what are you expecting to pay, to earn from me? Then you say, I think with my qualifications and whatever I can offer your company, I'm sure I can at least earn 30,000 rupees, but I'm willing to negotiate with you. So you said what you want, and now you open the door for negotiation. That is your negotiating power. So you don't have to hide it, but it's only if they mention that you are able to then discuss. If they don't mention what you earn, there's no need for you to. You just start negotiating your power. Okay. Any other question?
Thank you,
Anybody?
ma'am.
No problem.
Greetings, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello. I wanted to ask if in the ongoing interview they ask about the salary again, how can we politely redirect the question without being rude?
Well, like I
The,
said, the one thing that you can do now is you can say to them, I do understand. Well, if they give you what you were earning and they tell you that, what do you want to earn now? Don't redirect it. Speak about it.
no, if they are asking what was my past salary in the past company if I was working. Ma'am?
Network issue.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I
I'm
was
sorry, I don't
asking
know.
if they ask me about my past salary in the company I was working, how do I redirect that question?
You merely say that. You counter question them and you ask them, what does that have to do with the salary you have to offer me? And that shows your power. You are in your seat because you know that you have the ability to do the job that you have to do for them. You can say to them, what I earned before has got nothing to do with why I'm applying to your job. This job is different because your company is different. So I think we need to negotiate about what I can earn with you, not what I was earning before. So you don't redirect the answer, you redirect the question back to them. Because remember, they kind of power playing you. So they're trying to get out of you a figure. That's all that they try to do. But you have to be a little bit smart and say to them, yes, I did work before. Yes, I did earn before, but I'm here now for this new job. So let's talk about what you can offer me and let's talk about that. So you redirected it back to them. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
I
ma'am.
have one more question.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Ma'am, as you told us that we should not tell them sideline business and all. If they ask to us that where do you see yourself within 5 years? What about or tell about your vision? At that time, we should tell them exactly what we are planning or what.
If you are applying to my company, let's say to do a job of an admin position, right? You're going to be my administrator. You do all of my typing, my emailing, my everything that I ask you to do, as my PA or whatever. Let's say that's your job. I already know that in your role 5 years from now, what you should be doing. I don't as your employer and somebody who's going to interview you, I don't expect that in 5 years' time, my secretary is going to take my job. You understand? So when they're asking you the question of where you want to go in 5 years' time, they already have an idea of what your answer should be, depending on what job you are going into. If you are going into a job that is small and you know in that company there is room to grow in that role, then you can say in 5 years' time, actually, I'd love to be a director in your company because you know there's room to grow in the company. But if it's a small company that you know, for example, that the family owns the business, you can't get a role as higher, then don't mention anything that negates you or makes you competition for them. Say to them, I want to grow in everything that I do. Your answer would be simple. I'm taking this job from you because I know I have the ability to grow myself. And I want to learn. I keep learning. And being with your company will give me experience that will help me to keep growing myself. So I hope that in 5 years' time, I can be good at what I do and excellent at what I do and actually make your company proud. So you never said you're going to leave them. You never said you're going to leave them, but all you said is you're going to make that company proud because they employed you. But you know that in 5 years' time, you might be working enough where you can actually leave them and build your own business. But you will still make them proud because you worked for them, So you're actually not saying it, but you're saying that you're going to keep the company proud. And if you say that, they feel proud, that you already feel so proud to be with them already. So that's kind of how you answer.
Yeah, thanks so
Ma'am,
much.
ma'am, my question is related to that question. If I made a contract with any association that I am impaneled for you, and that party had put a condition on me that you cannot do any work, private work, along with my, you are impaneled for anything, and I want to do private work, and I don't want to say anything wrong or don't want to conceal anything, what politely answer would be there on behalf of me that I want to do when I get some spare time on Sunday or Saturday? Then what should be my polite answer?
So I think the first thing there, which is going to be that you have to understand, if you have signed, let's say you signed with Dr. Madhvi, that you're going to teach one class every week of 16 students and you're going to get paid so much a month. Let's say that is the contract you signed with her. But part of the contract with her also says that because you are using ESC Institute, you cannot work for another company and you cannot do any extra jobs. And if you do extra jobs, you have to disclose it. And you signed this contract. You have signed that you are obligated to her company, and you have signed that if you do have to do something else, you have to tell her. You have signed that. So if something else does come up, you have to say to her, something has come up and on my free time, I would like to do this. But let me tell you, some of the companies put that clause in. They put something in your contract to say you cannot do another job while you are working for me. It's not that they don't want you to work or earn extra money. It's simply that they don't want you to do the same job that they have you doing for them. And they also don't want for you to go and work with their suppliers or their network. So if you're working for Dr. Madhvi, then you would know me, for example, right? So you know me, you know Ma'am Jeannie, you know all of us that are around the world. So obviously you can't meet all of us through Dr. Madhvi. And then after meeting us through her, come to work with us all without her knowing. It's wrong. Do you understand? So in that essence, you have to disclose to her, I know I met so-and-so, I would like to do this. And then let them decide. But if it's such that you have a job with her, you cannot do the same job that you are doing with her for other people, because then it will be fraud. So if you have signed already on a document to say that you will not do it, then you obviously cannot do it. If you have not signed such a thing, I think to be honest with your employer is actually the best thing to do, is to say, I have this and this is what I'm doing, and then it works best.
It may be the one of the reason they don't want to disclose the skills they are using in their institute or they are using in their company, and they don't want to disclose same skills maybe leak out in other
Yeah,
it may.
exactly. Exactly. And remember, some of the positions that you actually go for interviews to get, if you are going for that interview and that job might mean that you are going to be dealing with confidential things for that company. You might have access to information in the company that is private and confidential. If you're going to work with other people, you might actually disclose something that you shouldn't be. Then you're going to get into trouble. So you have to be careful of what kind of job you employ, you ask for, you go for interviews for, and what you do with it. It's always about you. You want to keep your integrity intact. And when you are working for someone, your reputation has to be solid, because you always need them to give you a referral if you go somewhere else. Remember this. So you have to be careful, right? Everyone wants to do the extra for the extra money. But I think to be honest, when you are doing it is also very important. Even though you don't have to say it in your interview if it's not necessary. But if the company in the contract says, please disclose if you do it, then you're welcome to. You understand? You're welcome to. But if they don't ask, then it's not necessary, because you don't want to stop your chances of getting it. But honesty is always the best way.
Please.
Dr. Madhvi is here, which means my time is
Hello.
nearly up, but I see a hand up, Dr. Madhvi. Can I take that one question,
Yeah, yeah,
please?
sure.
Sure. Okay,
Ma'am,
Sam.
I have a question. Ma'am, if they ask about what skills do you have, but in actually, if don't skills have to me, so what should I say to them? Uh,
Can anybody tell me what she asked me? Because it broke as she was talking. I heard if they ask whatever skills she has, and then it broke off on my side. What did she ask?
Neha, could you
um,
come again, dear?
yes, ma'am. If they ask about me, what skills do you have? Is there any experience? Is there any skills or anything? But in real life, I don't have any skills. So what should I reply to them?
So let me do this. I'm going to reverse what you are asking me. Every single person, even a child in a school, has got a skill. Everybody has a skill. Whether it's to talk properly, whether it's to write properly, whether it's to just be able to drive properly, whatever it is, there's always something that you can do as a skill. Your everyday life, for example, if every one of you look at your everyday life from morning to evening, there is something that you are doing so beautifully every day, but that is your skill. I am able to organize things quickly. If in your family there's a function or a wedding or a party or something and they come to you and you organize it, you are a fantastic organizer. That is your skill. So go and look at what you have as a skill. There's never a time you don't have a skill. So when they ask you what is your skill, go back, remember you have applied for a job. Why? Because you've read the advert for the job. On the advert for the job, they said we require you to have organizational skills, writing skills, speaking skills, whatever the skills are. So when they ask you what skills do you have, of course you speak every day. Of course you know how to write, so you have a skill to write. Yes, I can organize things. So you're not lying. They're not asking you if you have the skill in your experience in another working place. They're asking if you have the skill within yourself. So you always have a skill. So you always answer, yes, I have, and I will be able to work in your company and enhance my skill. I will grow my skill while I work with your company. That you're not lying. I hope I answered you.
Ma'am, thank you.
Okay, no problem. So thank you, everybody. I loved being here, and I'm looking forward to our next one. But what you can do is, I think for the next one, all of you should be able to maybe write out a few questions that you might have, because from now to then, I'm sure you'll be thinking, you'll think of different things that you would like to ask me. So between now and then, write down what your questions are, and then we can obviously go through them then. Okay, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Madhvi.
you so
Lovely to
much.
be here.
Thank you so much, my dear respected ma'am. The grace and confidence always you bring it up with the warmth and which you have shared it today with absolutely all the lasting impression to all the shining stars. And I believe how curious they are for learning it. So we are always honored to have you here. So thank you once again, and we are looking forward that we will have more session, because absolutely, as they said, that this is something where you get the insight and clarity when you're talking upon all the parts where nobody has taught. So exactly, as I heard one of my shining stars said that, ma'am, we have heard till now that how to speak in an interview, but what not to speak. This is the very first time, and this is something your knowledge is left lasting impression itself. So once again, an eternal gratitude and extremely gratified, want to extend heartfelt thanks, my dear respected Mehreen ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the session.
Pleasure
I'm
to be
pleased to
connected with
connect
you,
with you,
ma'am.
ma'am, and have a great
Yes,
time, ma'am,
I'm
connecting with you,
connected with you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you very
I wish you a delightful time.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Again, it was remarkable. Immense gratitude. And Dr. Marti also.